This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
And we are back. We have not done this in a long time, and that is talking baseball. I know the music's not the same as the bed that's under me, but we're talking baseball here. It's special. We started this, about a month ago? And we started talking about some baseball segments, just kind of as a one-off, because both Brandon and I are huge baseball fans. Don't have the time for a weekly 3-segment podcast like we do for everything else, but wanted to get some baseball news out to you guys that love baseball as well. Talking about the Mets this week, and can they win the NL East? I almost said the West. I keep wanting to say the West. I know they're in the East. But before we do start, a little housekeeping here at the beginning. If you want to help support us, make sure to check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. If you want an MVP t-shirt, that link is down below in the description. If you want to check out everything for MVP, never want to miss it, bookmark mostvaluablepodcast.com. And then last but not least, if you're on Apple Podcasts, you have an Apple Podcast and iTunes, that's what I'm trying to say out of my mouth, make sure to the Primetime Podcast, Fast Break, Onside Kick, Rick and Johnny Podcast, give that a 5-star rating on iTunes. Every MVP podcast is on iTunes, so go ahead and give it a 5-star rating. But we're diving into some baseball. The Mets have been on a tear, and I noticed this about a week ago or 2 weeks ago when they were 11-1, and there was a tweet that so-and-so's rising in our our team rankings, the power rankings. And the Mets Twitter account, which was great, kind of went okay, I see where we are. Kind of we only have one loss, dipshit. Put us higher than you have us. That's basically what reading into the tweet said. But this is a team, top of their division right now. They're 14-6 right now?
Correct. And
they're currently losing right now to the Cardinals, who are also at the top of their division, 13-8. So 14-6. The Nationals, who we both thought would win the NL East, are 5.5 games back. I'll ask you this. First, what do you think of the Mets' hot start? And do you think this can carry out the entire season into a division championship or a division pennant for the Mets?
Well, so far, I love the Mets' hot start. I think it's been great for them, especially when you look at where they were about this many games into the season last year, 14-6 this season. They were 8-12 to start the season last year. 8-12, not good, and everyone in New York already wanted the season to end. All right, let's get the Jets out here, something. But that didn't go well either. So then they wanted the Mets back, and finally they have something to be able to cheer about again for a New York baseball team on that side of the city, because the Yankees, well, gosh, I mean, when you get Giancarlo Stanton, you're going to be fine. But the Mets have been good. However, your second part of the question is the Mets really need to get better with the bats if they want to be able to sustain this run. So pitching-wise, if you look pitching-wise, for the most part, they've been pretty good. DeGrom's been pretty good. Syndergaard's been pretty good.
You mean Thor? That's his nickname, Thor.
Sure. Gazelman's been fine. He's been good, actually. I said fine, but he's been good. Matt Harvey, bad. Real bad. He's been moved to the bullpen.
It's funny, because in MLB The Show, my road to the show, I was on the Mets is who I got drafted by. He was on the AA squad. That's how low he was.
He may be ending up on the AA squad in real life, but Harvey has not been good. But honestly, I think it's been a good part for the Mets, it's been their pitching, and it's been their ability to come back in games. Already, at least 6 comeback wins. 6 comeback wins for Mickey Callaway's club. Mickey Callaway, you got to love a guy.
First-year manager for the Mets.
With the name of Mickey Callaway. I love that name.
Here's what I'm thinking, though, and I'm glad you brought up Callaway, because this is a team you talked about last week in the Red Sox. And they're one where they have a manager, first-year with the team and Alex Cora. I wonder if that plays into it a little bit, where Callaway coming in, changing the feel of that clubhouse right away to where this Mets team is kind of playing a little bit looser, to where usually teams that are coming back in games, I usually think they're either A, very clutch, they have ice in their veins, or they're just a loose ball club. Like, the best thing I loved about the Cubs when Joe Madden came in is just how loose he got the clubhouse. In spring training, having all those goofy, like, theme days that he would have, the try not to suck shirt. During the season, they would have, like, pajama day and this day and just different things to keep it lively during a very long baseball season. And the second thing I look at is I'm like, all right, one of the things I always look at early in the season when a team is this hot, especially when you start 11-1, is who have you been playing? Have you been playing a lot of cupcake teams? And looking at the Mets, they have not. They've played the Cardinals, who they are right now, if they lose the game tonight as we're recording this Tuesday, they will be 2-2 against the Cardinals. They played Philly, swept them, postponed one, so they're 2-0 against Philly. Philly's right behind them in the standings. Washington, who, Washington's playing like diddly poo so far to start this season, but they're a team that many picked to either go to the World Series or definitely win the NL East. Then you got Miami. Yeah, Miami played tough to start the Cubs at the beginning of the season, but we know who Miami is. They're not that special a team. But then they've also played the Braves, who are kind of but then the Nationals and the Brewers again, who are no pushover teams. So, I mean, I look at this team and it's like you haven't played an easy, like super easy schedule. You've played teams that we're expecting to compete, although the Phillies are kind of that outlier because no one expected them to be second in the division this early. And that's another thing that you got to throw into this. It's still early. The baseball season is a long season, and there's a lot of things that could happen. The thing that concerns me right now for the Mets is, you didn't expect them to keep on that 11-1 pace, but the thing I think into is ever since April 13th they went from 11-1 to now 3-5? No, 3-5 would be 3-6 if they lose tonight in their last 9-8 games. So I mean, that's another thing. Should we be looking at that as like, oh, this is probably who the Mets are? Or is this just hey, we didn't expect you to go keeping an 11-1 pace. This is just a little bit of an influx, and this team could get back onto another run like they did when they started out 11-1.
Well, you can't keep that pace, just like the Boston Red Sox can't keep the pace that they were on either. 15-2, 12-2, 14-2, 15-2. But then you get no hit. And that's the big slap to the face that says, you know what, guys, you are going to have games like this. It can happen. Are they still doing really well? They are. Are the Mets still doing really well overall? Yes, they are. But I do think that one of the things that concerns me with the Mets is their hitting. And it's from some of the top guys. Yoenis Cespedes. He has 4 homers and 18 RBIs. Nice. But he also only has 6 walks. He has struck out 37 times. And what someone who should be the best player, if not one of the best players on your team, is batting a measly 195.
Well, I mean, look at Jay Bruce.
Jay Bruce right behind him
at
194. And Jay Bruce, you sign him back to a pretty nice contract. I mean, you have Asdrubal Cabrera at the top, 4 homers, 12 RBIs, and a batting average at 354. But in Todd Frazier has struck out less than Yoenis Cespedes. Todd Frazier knows how to strike out.
Cespedes has 37 strikeouts this year.
I know. That's what I mentioned that just a minute ago.
Wow.
That's incredible. That is incredible. It's way too many strikeouts, and he only has 6 walks. Frazier at least has 16 walks to his 20 strikeouts. Is it a
plate? Do you think it's a plate discipline issue?
Yeah.
Just going up there swinging at anything, trying to swing for the fences?
Yes. It has to be. I mean, you can't be that fooled all the time. You just are that much of a impatient hitter. Maybe you don't have, as good a vision as you'd like to have up there at the, I shouldn't say vision. Vision's the wrong word. Discipline. discipline at the plate. And I think that if that can't change, if Cespedes cannot get it together, stop striking out, start taking some more walks, his on-base percentage is horrific. It's bad. I mean, when you have a pitcher in front of you that has a better on-base percentage than you do, that's not good. DeGrom has a 273 on-base percentage, while Cespedes has a 258. That's not good. He's got to be able to get on base. He's got to be able to do something while at the plate. Again, yes, 4 homers, 18 RBIs, but you're not coming up in the big situations and getting the job done. You're striking out. So the Mets, yes, are on this very, very good run, and I'm excited for them, and I think that they have a really good opportunity to be in the mix all season long, but they won't if they can't improve their hitting. Right now, they're 16th in all of baseball in hitting, right ahead of the Chicago White Sox, who are 17th, and who are also 5-15. But the Mets, what's making up for it, as I had mentioned earlier when we kind of first started the video, is their pitching and their fielding. They're 11th in pitching. They're 13th in fielding. They've been playing some pretty clean baseball. And again, their pitchers, save for Matt Harvey, they've been pretty good. Familia has been pretty good. When he's needed to come in, I think he's 8 for 8 on save opportunities. That's good. When you're not blowing saves, that's a real positive for you. And he's been solid. So I think it's one of those where if the Mets can get it going from a hitting standpoint, because we all know that Washington's going to get it going.
Well, and that was the next thing I was going to ask is, are the Mets a team where, because the thing that I look at is Washington.
Familia is 8 of 10.
Okay.
He has blown 2.
He has blown 2. But the thing I'm thinking about is the Nationals in this. And you look at the Nationals so far. Didn't have the hot, they started out 4-0, but after starting 4-0, you drop, 5 straight? You get swept by the Mets. You lose your last 2 of the series you had in Atlanta to go 4-5. Then it's like, all right, you lose to Atlanta again in extras, but then you play a 4-game series at home, not in Colorado, at home against the Rockies. So you can't say that it was the thin air in Colorado that helped beat you, but you only win 1 game out of those 4 at home. Gonna say it again, at home against the Rockies. And in 2 of those games, you only score 1 run. And this offense is supposed to be so good because they were good last year and they've got Bryce Harper. But then it's like you only score 2, you get outscored 6, or you outscore them 6-2. That's the game they won. But then when you score 5 in the last game, you give up 6 runs of your own. And, I mean, I look at it again. Yeah, after that, the second time you saw the Mets, this time in New York, you won 2 games, lost 1. But then you play the Dodgers and you lose 2, and you only win 1. So, I mean, in San Francisco, first game of that series, you go ahead and lose it 4-2. So the thing I'm thinking is, did we overhype the Nationals this year? Or the Nationals a team where it's like, hey, they're just sleeping giants right now. They're taking a slow start to this season, but they're going to get it going. And in the end, don't worry, they're going to win this division.
I think Washington's going to get it going.
They have to get it going, right?
I find it hard to believe that the Washington Nationals, with as much firepower as they have in their lineup, as good of pitchers that they have in their bullpen and that will come out and pitch for them on the mound as starters, I find it hard to believe that they're not going to be able to get it going. I find it very hard to believe. But it also hasn't helped that Adam Eaton, yet again, he's hurt. I mean, that's a guy that was coming in and for 8 through 8 games, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, and a .345 batting average. I mean, that's pretty good to start things off with your 8 games, but again, you get hurt, and I don't want to say that Adam Eaton is everything. He is not, but he's a big piece. He's a big piece for them to be able to have him there. And no, this is not the guy that's going to be getting you, 25 home runs.
But he's a solid hitter.
But he's a guy who can get you about 8 homers, 70 RBIs, score a ton of runs for you, get on base. Those are the types of things that you're losing when there's no Adam Eaton in the lineup.
Here's another thing I'm looking at. Just through from now to the month of May, tell me which, I'm going to give you 2 schedules. You tell me which one you like. So you've got a pad of paper there. I want you to write these down. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So the first one is 3 games at St. Louis. Then you have 3 games at San Diego. Then you have 3 games at home against Hotlanta. 3 games at home against the Rockies. 3 on the road against the Reds. 3 on the road at Philly. 2 at home against Toronto. 3 at home against Arizona. 3 at home against Miami. 4 on the road at Milwaukee.
You giving me their whole fucking schedule for the rest of the year?
This is through May. And then the last one is 4 games on the road at Atlanta. That is schedule 1. The second schedule that I want to give you, and it'll be the same stretch of games. 3 at San Francisco. 3 at home against Arizona. 4 at home against Pittsburgh. 3 at home against Philly. 3 on the road at San Diego. 4 on the road at Arizona. 2 at home against the Yankees. 3 at home against the Dodgers. 3 at home against the Padres. And then 3 on the road against Miami and 3 on the road at Baltimore. Look at those 2 schedules really quick for me.
Oh, I already know. I do not want to be the one that you just gave me.
The second one?
Hell no.
That's the Nationals. The Nationals were the second schedule I gave you. The first one was the Mets.
Yeah.
That's what they've got through May.
Uh-uh.
And then after that, just to give you a little taste, May into June, the Nationals will be on the road against the Braves, whereas the Mets will host the Cubs for a 4-game series May into June.
Yeah, no, I don't like the schedule whatsoever for Washington.
And that's the thing, the Mets haven't had to play the Dodgers yet. Or the Diamondbacks much, but they'll have a few, like 1 compared to 2 that the Nationals will have.
I mean, just the next 13 games. You've got San Francisco, Arizona, Pittsburgh, and Philly.
Yep.
All teams. San Francisco's not playing all that well,
but they're already beat you once.
They're at least competitive. Arizona's playing real well. Pittsburgh's been playing real well, and Philly's been uncharacteristically been playing really well.
Yeah.
San Diego, there's San Diego still. You get Arizona again, the Yankees, the Dodgers, San Diego again, Miami, Baltimore. So San Diego, Miami, Baltimore. Which, by the way, ever since I made that Baltimore pick at the beginning of the season, I was like, Who would you take as a wild card? I couldn't think of anyone else. And I'm like,
you said Baltimore.
Not sure who's going to be good. And I'm like, Baltimore. They got Manny Machado, right? I think that's all they got. So I've laughed every time that I've seen them at the bottom of their division. I'm like, you're an idiot.
And that's the thing, like with the Mets, kind of bringing them back into it. If they can capitalize off of this easier schedule to start, because I'm just going to take a quick look. So after June, they don't play the Dodgers. Do you want to know the exact date they play their first series against the Dodgers?
Mets.
Yeah, the Mets. It's at home, June 22nd through the 24th. They will be playing the Dodgers when Mark and I will be at VidCon. That's the first time they will play the Dodgers. Whereas the Nationals, up until that time, will have played 3, 6, about 6 games against the Dodgers. And I think 2 of them are already losses. So if you lose both of those series, you're 2-4 before the Mets even get to see the Dodgers so far this season.
So again, I think it has to be one of those where, in my opinion, can the Mets get their hitting together? Because if they can't, some of these games that we look at on the schedule that we think, oh, the Mets should be able to win it, will they? And what happens if their pitching slides a little bit, which we have seen, which we saw last year. And then on the other side, when you talk Nationals, can the Nationals get their stuff together? And can they rise up and get better? Will, Ryan Zimmerman start to hit out of the 190s, because Ryan Zimmerman was possibly the MVP of that team last year. I know a lot of people would say Bryce Harper is always the MVP of the team, but Ryan Zimmerman really had a huge year for them last year. Big reason why they made it as far as they did. And does someone like an Adam Eaton get healthy again, come back into the lineup, make a difference? And then Washington's pitching lately has been atrocious. Are they going to get that back? Because if not, Washington may not be able to make it out of the kind of the rut they're in at three under 500. But the Mets, if they can't do it either, we could see them slide. Who knows? Philly could take the division. I do not see it, but
Arrieta's been looking pretty good.
Stranger things have happened.
I didn't think Arrieta would look as good as he's been. He hasn't been like
bet you
wild
wish you
card Arrieta.
had him instead of you, Darvish.
I didn't want to overpay for him, but I mean,
you overpaid for other crappy guy.
Let's talk at the end of the year. Let's see how it goes. I don't care if he loses 4 starts here. If he
I know how it's gonna go.
But here's another thing I look at is just the end of August 31st to the end of the year. The Mets have Giants, Dodgers, Phillies, Marlins, Red Sox, Phillies, Nationals, Braves, Marlins.
Tough.
Kind of tough. But when you've got Washington, you've got Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs. All 3 of those teams by that time are going to be going for the division. They're going to be going hard. You're screwed. Then you've got Philly, who right now they could still be in the race for a wild card or even the division. Braves, you get what should be an easy one. Then you get the Marlins, cupcake games. There's only 2 of them. Then you get Mets, Marlins, and Rockies, where the Marlins is that easy one, but then you get the Mets, who that could be for the division, and then your last 3 against the Rockies. Rockies could be playing for a wild card game at that point. Like, that could be, we just lost 3 out of 4 to the Mets. Shit, we got to beat the Rockies or else we're not making it as a wild card team. So I don't think the schedule is in favor of the Nationals. And right now, the Mets are capitalizing off of that. They are capitalizing off of it. And, like, teams like the Brewers, like Mets fans might say, but Ricky, we did pretty well at the beginning of the season. Brewers had a slow start to the season. End of the season, they're going to be in a race with either the Cardinals or the Cubs, or if not all 3 of them.
But again, we may be seeing the same exact thing here in the East, because if the Phillies start to fall back at all, but then the Mets hold around where they are and the Washington Nationals come up to there, I mean, we are so early in the season, a 162-game season, that literally we've seen probably about 25 games be played total, probably from anyone. I mean, with all the rainouts and snowouts and winter mash-outs we've had, around 25 games. We're so early. There is still so much to happen. There are injuries to be had. There are call-ups to be made. There's this and that and the other thing. It's all going to happen. It always does. And we never know what is exactly going to happen. But I think, again, bringing the Mets to the forefront again of the conversation, they have been playing extremely well right now because of this new energy that they have. This energy that I think they're getting from a new manager, this energy that I think they're getting from being able to have at least 6 comeback wins on the season, and certainly during their 11-1 run, and they're pitching. They're pitching, which overall has been pretty darn good. And I think that if they can keep that up, they're going to be a team that continues to keep themselves in the conversation throughout the summer. Not that Washington's not going to put themselves there, but the Mets, because of the start they've had, and because of, I think, where they could go, again, the hitting's a big question, but it is for Washington too. If the Mets and their big guns, their Jay Bruces, their Yoenis Cespedes, can get the bats going, get out of those 190s, get into the 250s. We're talking.
Last question I have. Do you think it's because the Mets pressure free coming into the season? no high expectations, can kind of play a little loosey-goosey, whereas the Nationals, oh shit, there's a little bit of pressure. People are picking us to win the World Series. We haven't gotten out of the first round. There's that. Is that playing in as well? More pressure on the Nationals this season than the Mets, who weren't too good last year?
You know what? I'm going to say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because there's always pressure on you when you're in a market like New York. It really doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter if you're supposed to be good or not supposed to be good. In a New Yorker's mind, you're always supposed to be good.
Especially when the Yankees are
especially when your crosstown
up.
rival is, over there, spending money, like there's no tomorrow.
Knocking
on
dingers, striking out.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think that's, even though the Yankees aren't as good so far to start the season as a lot of people probably would think they would be, when you're in a market like New York, there's always an expectation of success. There's always an expectation of you better be good, otherwise we won't come. So I think that there's always going to be a pressure, but right now the Mets have been playing really loose within their clubhouse.
Well, and another segment for Brandon and I this week that went a little bit longer than the camera wanted us to go. So that's where we're going to turn it on to you guys. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comments section. A little housekeeping here at the end. You like what we're doing here on the channel, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you want to get yourself an MVP t-shirt, that link is down below in the description. Mostvaluablepodcast.com. That's where you're going to catch everything for MVP each and every day. And last but not least, if you have Apple Podcasts, you're on Apple iTunes, go ahead, give all the podcasts, Fast Break, Primetime Podcast, The Onside Kick, Rick and Johnny Podcast, a 5-star rating on iTunes. Want to thank you guys for checking out this segment on YouTube. And as always, have a good day, everybody.